2018. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Can we have a roll call, Bonnie?
Mr. Bova.
Here.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Here.
Mr. Gottman.
Here.
Mr. Lapsevich. Mr. McIntyre.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here. Do we have anyone who signed up for comments on agenda items?
No, no one signed up.
Is there anyone in the audience that's here to speak on agenda items only? Seeing none. Section A, minutes of previously held meetings.
So moved. Second.
Any comments, questions? As the public can see, we've had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings since June. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Section B, bills and financial reports and budget transfers. Mr. Schott.
Thank you, Mr. Rucci. Section B, resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approve Sections B1 list of bills and B2 monthly financial statements as listed in Section B at the Tuesday, August 21st, 2018 regular board meeting. And those consist of, for Section B1 list of bills, for the bills for July 2018, August 2018, and we added an additional second run of August 2018 after a study session meeting. And Section B2 monthly financial statements for the months of June 2018 and also July 2018.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Questions or comments for Mr. Schott? Seeing none. Roll call, Bonnie.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Aye.
Mr. Gottman.
Aye.
Mr. Lapsevich.
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Bova.
Aye.
Okay, Section C, items previously tabled. We have one. I don't believe there's any change on that. Anybody? None? Okay. Personnel agenda, Section D. Mrs. Crump, please.
Thank you, Mr. Rucci. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors accepts and approves the personnel agenda items 1 through 6 as listed in Section D for the regular board meeting of Tuesday, August 21st. Under resignations, we have 3 resignations listed since last week. Leave of absence, we have 3 requests. Under transfer, per the collective bargaining agreement, we also have 3 transfers. Under employment, for teachers, that's Tammy Glykowski. She is being approved as our certified school nurse. This is a part-time position, which will be replacing Karen Shiner. We also have 2 temporary teaching positions listed as long-term subs to fill vacancies. Under paraprofessionals, we have 6 listed. However, we do have a correction on Ramona McIver. It is not autistic support, it is emotional support. We are also recommending a lunchroom aide. And under supplemental contracts, we have 1 resignation and 5 issuances. For 6 for volunteers, we have 7 volunteers listed.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Crump. Is there a motion to approve Section D?
So moved.
Is there a second? Comments, discussion, questions? Seeing none? Roll call, Bonnie.
Mr. Gottman.
Aye.
Mr. Lapsevich.
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning. Mr. Bova.
Aye.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Section E, we have no conferences or conventions. Section F, we do have administrative resolutions. The first one is facility rentals. Who's taking that?
We can go with Mr. Schott if you want to take those. Facility rentals.
Item number 1 is to approve the fee schedule for facility rentals per administrative regulations number 707R-2, new rates as depicted in Exhibit A.
Facility agreements.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Item number 2, facility agreements for Gateway Midget Football and Cheerleading Association, September 5th, 2018, in Antamarino Stadium, $465. Item number 3, final approval the following item that was placed on public display beginning June 27, 2018. That's for the grade 8 physical science. Item number 4, approval of student teachers for the fall 2018 and spring 2019 as listed below. Item number 5 is approval of donation, accepted donation of the Mrs. Wordsmith Vocabulary Program from David K., Program Director. Item number 6, approve the disposal of outdated textbooks and workbooks from various subjects. Item number 7, approve the increases in the prices of the applicable a la carte food items for a district's food service department during the 2018-2019 fiscal year as depicted in Exhibit B. Item number 8, approve the special education settlement agreement and release for ODR file number 20052-1718KE in the total amount of $13,000 and additional terms and conditions as negotiated by Special Education Council. Item number 9, approve the following agreements. Presley Ridge Greensburg as depicted in Exhibit C, PA Educator Net as depicted in Exhibit D, TCV Community Services as depicted in Exhibit E. Item number 10, approve the appointment of Dr. Dennis Chakey to serve as the district's school safety and security coordinator and oversee the various safety-related requirements and deadlines as mandated in Act 44, 2018. Item number 11, approve and certify the procedures listed below will be followed in regards to the Title I funds during 2018-2019 fiscal year as depicted below. Item number 12, and this was added after a study session meeting, recognize the following district booster clubs and support organizations who have properly submitted applications to the district for a 2018-2019 fiscal year as depicted below. Again, just want to note that the above groups do not represent all the district's booster clubs and support organizations for the 18-19 fiscal year. Additional booster clubs and support organizations will be presented for approval later in the 18-19 fiscal year by season and as they properly submit their completed applications to the district.
Okay. Can I have a motion? Approve section F. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
I have a question about item number 6. This is that disposal of outdated textbooks and workbooks from various subjects. We want an approval to dispose of outdated textbooks and workbooks from various subjects. So I'd like to ask the administrators, is there some way we could donate some of our older materials to a pool so that the pool could collect enough for a given subject at a given school that really doesn't have textbooks? I know that sometimes our books get worn out, and if you need 20 for the class and you only have 5, 5's not enough for the class. But maybe by pooling it together, we could assemble, and that intermediate unit or whoever could assemble enough that could make a donation to a school that might need some of those workbooks or textbooks.
We could change disposal. We could add word donation, disposal, word donation, and then we can reach out to a few schools.
Now, is that the intermediate unit that we should reach out to? Because it shouldn't be an administrative burden on us to try to collect all these.
I don't know if that's something the intermediate unit would
Or hand them out. I mean, how could we judge, one school over another? We're not at all the other schools, so we need some sort of a governor above all the schools in the district that could make an offer to some of these schools to take a look at what's there and then see if they might need it.
So can you contact the AIU perhaps and see if they have any type of
We
charitable
can.
donation?
Part of the problem is a lot of these outdated materials do go back maybe 10 or 15 years, which is pre-Common Core, PA Core. So there would be, I would say no school district would be interested in those. However, we would be able to donate those to perhaps a charity or something. Yeah.
out of the country
Yeah.
organizations.
Or libraries.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I don't know. So I see that we need to dispose of them because we've got to turn over our materials. But who can we designate to look into this? Or is there someone from the public who is a retired librarian that might be able to manage this for us?
We can reach out to the Allegheny Intermediate Unit for assistance on that to see if.
Make a suggestion.
Yes.
It'll either succeed or fail. That's fine. Thank you.
Plus, we do receive a lot of materials that are given to us from various textbook companies for us to preview and review. So those have been collecting over the years as well.
Thank you.
So change the wording, Bonnie, to disposal or donate for item 6.
I'll do that.
Does anyone have any questions on any other items? Seeing none, can I have a roll call on section F?
Mr. Lapsevich?
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mr. Bova?
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci?
Aye.
Mr. Gottman?
Aye.
Section G is resolutions by board members. There are none on the agenda. Are there any board members that have any resolutions for this evening?
I do. It's just something that just came to my attention the last couple days. There was a resolution passed on August 15th, 2017. It passed 7 votes to 0. And the wording is to establish a policy concerning the introduction of board resolutions by individual board members. Whereas individual Gateway School Board directors from time to time present and propose resolutions to be considered by the board at its study session or regular meeting, and whereas there is a desire of this Gateway School Board to provide notice and an opportunity to study the proposed resolution in advance by individual directors. Now therefore be it resolved and enacted this 15th day of August 2017 as follows. Section 1. No resolution presented by an individual board member can be considered at a study session or regular meeting unless the entire board has received at least 7 days' notice of such future presentation, and each board member is provided an actual copy of the resolution to be considered by the board at that meeting. Section 2, this policy may be excused only when 2/3 of the majority of the school board shall vote to consider a resolution at its study session or regular meeting without such prior notice. Now, I was at the meeting when this was passed. It was never actually placed on 30-day display, so therefore it's never actually been enacted as policy. If you look at our policy online, it doesn't show up there. However, it was voted on as enacted that day, so it is enforceable, but there's nowhere to find it. So for future board members, it's just lost in this weird shuffle. So I would like to, I'm going to make a motion to place this on 30-day display so that we can come back and actually put this into the policy so that it's there for the public to see and for future board
Which
members.
policy would we place now?
There's a section under procedure, I believe, where it lays out what type of votes require majorities. I would say it would fit into there.
Lonnie, we could look at this tomorrow and
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
draft language and
Rick, may I ask?
No discussion until I have a motion and approve
I
in a
have,
second?
I made the motion.
John seconds?
Okay, you can discuss now.
Sure. Isn't there a provision in there for a majority to be able to vote something on this through immediately? In other words, there's no money involved in this?
Correct. It's section 2 says this policy may be excused only when 2/3 of the majority of the school board shall vote to
And since
consider.
it's a mechanical flaw that it didn't get posted correctly, isn't it?
No, I don't think that's the case, is it? No. Let Mr. Dice address the issue, because we
Yeah, I
discussed
think
this.
this is procedural in nature. This is not a policy that the public necessarily has any standing to raise the question. It's only among you, the board members.
operational.
Yeah, it's operational in nature. I think that's the best way to describe it. You're right, Dr. Short. So, you didn't enact it by policy. I think Rick makes a point that you new board members in the future would have no way to know about this if it isn't in your policies. Rather, it's a resolution. So I think it's appropriate to do what Rick's suggesting, that is to now make this part of your formal policy.
Okay.
While you're at it, I think you ought to be doing Brian's too, because Brian
I didn't go 30 day either. It's not
Yeah.
on
So, I think it's appropriate if you're gonna, and maybe you were gonna say that, I don't know.
our, I would,
I was going to kind of tackle one at a time.
One at a time,
Yeah.
okay, never mind. So, I think it's appropriate that, which Rick is asking.
I got a question. So, I guess piggybacking off of his, since you want to tackle each one at a time, should we put mine as a separate resolution as well to be on 30 days?
It would be a separate policy, because it was enacted on a separate date.
Right.
I would separate them because of that. and the subject matter isn't just quite the same.
We can do it.
Okay.
So this vote will cover both going on to 30-day public display.
Right.
They
Yeah,
will
two
be
separate
Two
policies.
separate, two separate policies. Okay.
Okay, so everybody understand we're going to vote now on putting these two policies on 30-day display. Go ahead, Bonnie, roll call, please.
Mr. McIntyre,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning, Mr. Bova,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci,
Aye.
Mr. Gottman,
Aye.
Mr. Lapsevich. Motion carries.
So it passes by a supermajority. Otherwise, it would not have passed.
Because it's,
Right.
Actually, technically, by the wording, you have to vote a supermajority to consider it,
Right.
and then vote it.
And you did that too.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we're good.
Any other resolutions tonight by board members? Okay. Comments from residents on non-agenda items. I know we had one sign up to speak in advance. Danielle Greenwald.
Daniel. Yes.
Oh, just step up to the microphone and state just your name and address so we know you're a resident of the district. And you have 5 minutes.
My name is Danielle Greenwald. I live at 2459 Summer Station Road, which is right over there. My husband Eric and I have hosted 2 other foreign exchange students, and this year we tried to host, but you didn't approve for some reason.
yes.
So I'm here to actually appeal that decision because we feel that every effort was made to get the paperwork signed prior to July 1st. It was submitted electronically. Everything's in my letter, which I can read out loud if everybody wants to hear it.
I have not seen your letter. Is it something that we can copy for board members so we can get up to speed on your issue?
Mrs. Isha just gave us, or gave me the copy of the letter. I can
Okay.
make copies and
Yeah.
provide that to the board tonight.
Sure, this is the first I'm hearing of the issue.
Okay, well, we hosted 2 other foreign exchange students through AFS at Gateway High School in 2015 and 2016, or the 2014-15 school year and the 2015-2016 school year. They both had outstanding experiences and actually did really well while they were here. And both were actually accepted after July 1st of the year that they attended. So Eric and I have lived here since, well, Eric's been here since 2004. I've been here since 2011. We pay our taxes. We're both Navy veterans. We're responsible. I actually work in the Gateway school system at Sunrise. So I would like to ask that since everything was actually submitted and I presented the evidence, that you reconsider your decision.
So you're saying that you submitted all the necessary paperwork to your knowledge by July 1st?
On Wednesday, June 27th, an electronic request was submitted. When we didn't hear back by July 2nd, we called and called and called and called, and then I was asked on July 16th to physically bring the form here. When I got here, I was informed that you were on vacation and wouldn't be back until the 26th, and Ms. Jovanovich?
Yes,
her name?
registration. Jovanovich.
She actually looked up the policy and said that it wouldn't be a problem to get it signed and that you would sign it on the day you got back. I called that day, didn't get a response. I called the next day. I finally heard from someone when I showed up here to see what was going on. And that's when I was told that you wouldn't sign it because it wasn't submitted by the 1st. And of course, I made the argument that it was submitted before the 1st and that I only brought the hard copy because we didn't hear back. They said that you were going to call me the next day, which I didn't get a call from you. I called and called and called and called that day. I called and called and called the next day. And finally, on the 1st, I received a call from, I think, your secretary.
Mrs. Estock?
Yes. And she said that the same thing, that you didn't sign it because you didn't receive it before the 1st.
Can I just ask one question? When did you want a foreign exchange student to actually be enrolled in the district?
She should have started school, or should be starting school with all the kids in the fall. So that's Thursday, right?
So you have a student living at your home right now? Is that what you're
She
saying?
will actually be here Thursday. All of this delay has caused her to be delayed, but she is arriving on Thursday. So if she doesn't come to school here, we're gonna have to bus her out to somewhere else, Alderdice or wherever we'll take her.
Okay. We're going to have to obviously discuss this matter and get back to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you for being persistent.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board on non-agenda items? Okay, moving on to reports.
No, you can go first.
Okay, Dr. Short.
Thank you, Mrs. Ferrucci. Yesterday, we had an opportunity to welcome back nearly 300 teachers on opening day, and I do wish to inform the board that things went extremely well. We had tremendous presentations by Dr. Rossi, Dr. Chakey, with goals and objectives for this year. Today, we've started implementing the objectives into place with the multiple meetings, various levels, departments throughout the district. Wish to thank the marching band and the cheerleaders who were once again a part of our opening day celebration in welcoming our staff back. They did an incredible job. We are excited. I do know information has been sent out to all of our parents, students regarding schedules, buses, and we are ready to go. And Mrs. Isha is smiling over there right now, knowing that the buses will be present on Thursday morning. So if there is a question regarding a schedule, please be patient. Counselors have been working on schedules for the last 2 weeks, and I don't believe we should have any issues. That's it.
Mrs. Bungard, do you have anything this evening?
I just wanted to welcome everyone back to the 2018-2019 school year, all the staff and students and families, and I'd also like to wish you a safe and successful school year. I'd also like to take a moment here and just congratulate that we do have 3 recipients that will receive a Suicide Prevention Educator Award during a ceremony that was held here at Chatham University. Gateway School District and Purchase Line Junior Senior High School have been recognized for our efforts in our Suicide Prevention Award. So I'd like to honor our district and recognize everyone that was part of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Chiggy?
I'd just like to welcome back Gateway staff. It was great to see everyone yesterday, and we look forward to seeing students on Thursday.
Dr. Rossi?
Just like to remind parents to check Skyward and the building websites for all the pertinent back-to-school information, because there's a lot of information.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw?
Nothing further, thank you.
Mrs. Crum?
We are still in need of some staffing, so we are still looking for paraprofessionals. So if you're a person with 60 hours of college credit or an associate's degree and would like to serve in the community, please contact us. We still have some needs, and if you did not want to do it in a full-time capacity, we still are looking for substitutes through Kelly Services.
Mr. Ritter?
Sure, and Bob Brown, I'd like to give you a heads up that if you would, could you give us a little update on whether some improvements occurred over the summer and where we stand with that? So take your time, gather your thoughts. I'm going to give my report while you gather your thoughts. Okay, so
Yes, we're going to
listen.
have a report from
I was
Mr.
wondering whether we could have some of the committee meetings be broadcast. You know, the public, sometimes they don't like to come out, but if we could broadcast them on the local cable access station, that would be nice. Number 2, could we capture some of the thoughts and the discussions in the committee meetings minutes? In other words, rather than just have the attendance, lay out some of the thoughts, pro and con, just lay them out there. It doesn't have to be a long transcription like some other school districts do, but just a brief overview of what the major points were. So that would help increase transparency, but it would put a load on the chairs. I understand that. So it's just a consideration. Number 3, would it be good, I think, for the president of the school board or the president or the vice president to make sure that all the school board members are able to well communicate with each other by some standard means, whether it's all email or all text or all phone or all meeting in person. I don't really care, as long as we're sure that everyone is able to know whatever everyone else is thinking. Number 4, I would like to meet with some of the school nurses to work with an improved method of using technology, advanced technology, in our schools and school districts. So Heather, if you could get me a contact with one of the school nurses that would help me. Thank you very kindly. Number 5 or 6 or 7, I went out to the PSBA Platform Committee meeting recently in Harrisburg, and I sat with a bunch of guys all day long, and we worked on what's called the 2018-2019 Pennsylvania School Board Association platform. So the committee was very formal, and we submitted my resolution here, which says that it would be good to allow school districts to use technological approaches such as telehealth and telemedicine to provide healthcare services to students. So we passed a little motion that allowed me to get our proposition on the formal agenda. So I made a PowerPoint presentation, I delivered it to them. They scratched their head, they said, this is great, but we're going to reject it because it's already included in the broader paragraph above it. So let me read the broader paragraph above it. It says, school boards shall call on the state to allow school districts to implement alternative healthcare services and programs. So that is so high level and so broad, I thought it didn't have enough meat or teeth to actually give the legislators something to chew on and put money behind. So that's why I called out specifically telehealth and telemedicine as at least one technological advance. There are many others like personal health records or cell phones or other yet to be invited apps for that or ways to communicate with local hospitals and on and on and on. So they rejected a detailed approach because it's already included in its parent umbrella. Now, I don't like that, so that's why I'd like to continue to try to push this forward. It might take 5 or 10 years, but that's okay. School districts deserve whatever latest and greatest advances are out there with respect to improving the health and safety of kids who have different conditions, they have different medication needs, behavioral problems, there's suicides, there's opioids that are trying to find ways to get into our schools, and things that we haven't thought about 10, 15, 20 years ago. We need to harden our umbrella of protection for our students with whatever health information technology can bring to bear. So I was sad on the one hand, but they didn't say no. They said it's already included. So I think that's all I have. Thank you very
Okay,
kindly.
thank you, Mr.
I
Ritter.
just want to make one comment to Mr. Ritter's report. I think it was point 3. He made reference to emails among board members and making sure you communication. Let's recognize and always remember and keep this right in the front of your head. All emails between board members on any board member or any gateway subjects are subject to right to know. If you're smart, you put that on your computer, on your screen, right at the top, so you remember it every time you put in an email. Because don't get sloppy with what you say on those emails. When I say sloppy, get into opinion giving on subjects that really aren't the part of the executive session or the work sessions. So just be careful, and from time to time, I'm going to say it again.
Thank you.
Well, and I would say that we all do have each other's cell phone numbers, and verbal communication is always greatly encouraged.
Verbal communication is not subject to right to know. Meetings aren't subject to right to know.
Mr. Bova?
Just 2 quick things.
I'm sorry, Bob Brown. We're still at the tail end of my report here, so if you could give us an update, is anything paved or
I was going to give
built,
him
or-
more time. Okay.
Bob's always prepared because he's always a
Sorry,
hard worker.
Jack.
Well, we're at the end of summer anyway. We did a number of small projects throughout this summer, not the elaborate ones we did last year. Paving is in a lot of people's mind because we're wrapping it up, and it'll be wrapped up tomorrow before all the buses hit. We've done a number of small things throughout the buildings that most people won't notice, but door replacements, some enhancements within the pool, just upgrading some of the older items that are in there to refresh them. You will notice up in the sports complex parking lot a mountain of asphalt that we're repurposing up at the ball fields to create an access road in along the fence line for the equipment to drive on. We have the stadium wall remediation project. We're wrapping that up right now. It'll be open for Saturday's JV football game for the fans to sit in there. We may still be finishing up the painting of the new railings, but that'll end it. And there's not a whole lot of exciting jobs this year, just a number of small ones. The staff worked pretty hard, being shorthanded to get everything cleaned and ready to go for everybody. So
are you recommending that people at home come out to the Friday night football this Friday night and take a look at the new
I would not do that since we are in Mount Lebanon on Friday night. But they're more than welcome to show up Saturday to the JV game.
Thank you. My face is red.
Mr. Bova, it's your turn.
I got nothing.
Oh, come on, you had two things. I want to know what they are.
I changed my mind. Come back next month, you can hear it.
Cliffhanger.
Exactly right.
Mrs. Warning.
Yes, first off, I want to thank our custodians and maintenance workers going into the schools. They look fantastic. The floors are shining. I know after
I want to
Thursday.
keep the floors that way all
I was going to
year.
say we're going to have scuff marks, but our supervisors have done a fantastic job. And like I said, our workers, they've really worked hard. And I understand they were supposed to have a cookout or something to show appreciation to our custodial staff. Dr. Short,
The buildings are almost complete, and there's
Okay.
always room for celebration at the
Okay.
end of the job.
Okay,
right, when the
that's what I'm
job's done.
Their jobs, I believe, should be done tomorrow. Anyhow, I just want to thank them because they really, with all this hot weather and everything, they really out there. I think this is the first year that they have finished ahead of time. But it looks great. And Dr. Short, yesterday's opening day, I saw over 300 happy, smiling teachers. I think with the contract and everything being approved and going through, everybody's glad to get back. He did put some teachers on the spot with the civics little test with what was coming up. They did pass. Like I said, everybody's willing, ready to get back to work. Also, Friday night, as Mr. Ritter started, we are having our first football game. It's non-conference. We'll be at Mount Lebanon at 7 o'clock. There are buses. If anyone would like to go, call the athletic department at 412-373-5750. There are spaces, I'm going to say students available. It would $10 for the bus and ticket included. And it looks like it's going to be another good season for all our fall sports. So everybody, let's get on board with that. And also, we had a policy meeting last night, and one of the things that we had discussed was the metal detectors here at Gateway. And we are looking to do a pilot program here, hopefully in January. So we need to put a policy in place for that. And Mrs. Isha had gotten some other policies from other schools with their metal detectors. So Dr. Chakey, if it's possible, if I talked to Mr. Key, that he had given you prices as far as metal detectors and everything, that we could, look at probably implementing something to get going for January, if that's all in agreement with everybody here. So with that, just good luck to everyone with the start of school on Thursday, and here's to another good school year. And that's it.
Mr. Lepsovich.
Thank you, Ms. Vice President. I'll start on a light note, and then I'll get down to the nitty-gritty. Mr. Short, I was at the auditorium on Monday. You and Dr. Shaky and Dr. Who? I'm just kidding. Dr. Rossi was in attendance. You did an excellent job, and you were professional as ever, laying the law down, or what do you want to call it, the law. Okay. I start at, Mr. Ritter, you stated that you would like to have like videos at some of our meetings, like the committee. And thank you. I got a little there. And I agree with that, but I don't agree with it because a lot of those meetings that we attend is pricing and stuff. And the thing is, I do not want the next guy that steps into that door know what the previous bid was. That's the only flaw I have on that. And you stated about, I give you the world about trying to keep drugs out of the schools, but drugs are already in our schools. That's another thing. Okay, a heavy note now. Last board meeting, I was trying to bring out the light on the situation with my colleague, Ms. Val Warning, with the bullying, with her, not only herself, but her family. I thought it was going to end there, but I was surprised. It started with me. I wasn't going to speak on it tonight, but I have to speak on it because I don't back down from nobody.
George, I would prefer if you not speak about this. This is not a school board business issue. Social media contacts and personal opinions should not be discussed at a business meeting.
Well, I'm going to speak on it anyway, if you approve or not approve. Can
No,
I speak
you're
on this,
out of
Mr.
order.
Dice?
No, you are not. You're out of order, Mr.
Dice, can I
Lepsovich.
speak on this?
If she indicates that you're out of order, you can ask the board to overrule her, but
Okay, I'd like the board for a vote on my concerns of my family and a
so
few
you're
other
making that in
things.
the form of a motion.
Yes, sir. Okay, can we have a,
There's got to be a second.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a second.
Are there
Okay,
any questions before we put this to vote?
This is, I guess, a heartfelt suggestion, Mr. Lapsovich. This never works. You will not say anything that will stop social media nonsense. Everything you say will add more fuel to this fire. No one has ever come up with the brilliant retort that cuts this down. You always think you're going to. You've had time to think about it. I'm not talking about you personally. I've been through this. Probably everyone who's been in any public position has. You can't end this aside from letting it just burn out. You're just gonna give them more fuel to start again, and the next cycle will begin, and we'll be back here next week or next month with you having something else to respond to. And I'm not doubting the honesty, the veracity of what you're about to say. I'm just telling you, it won't work. It's a loser from the beginning.
okay, with that being said,
One time, I'd like to give someone advice where they said, hey, you know what, that's a good idea.
with that
I think I'm
being,
gonna
That's
take
kind of
that
ironic,
advice.
given what you just said.
with that being
Am I
said,
right?
I withdraw my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Lepsovich.
And also, I would just like to thank the board for their hard work they've been doing behind closed doors. And Mr. Ritter made a comment about, we should get together, I suggest, why don't we just give us a high five? Don't need to be great. Just give each other a high five. That's good enough for me. Thank you.
George, after the meeting, chest bump right in the middle.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Dice, for this evening?
Absolutely.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. McIntyre and Mr. Galtman.
Okay. Yeah, first, it's more of a question, because I presented this, I believe, back in June. Has there been any updates with the sponsorships on the football field?
Nothing at this time. We have submitted multiple requests, and we are anxiously waiting to see if anything does come in.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, and then for the board report, with school year starting, it's kind of an exciting time. Almost reminds me of training camp where you get that buzz in the air, like good vibes. I know both teachers and students are not looking forward to having to get up at like 5, 7 in the morning. But guess what? Gotta get up. And this year, I don't think there's any, it's going to be really, really fun. I mean, we have all new educational opportunities coming, with our new tablets that we got for science, the other programs that Dr. Short alluded to earlier. We have several titles that we are going to be defending, one starting this Friday. And of course, we're going to have brand new artwork for me to talk about all year long. As good as this is, I'm ready for something new.
Yeah.
It's coming.
A little tired of the pomegranate.
Yeah.
It's a good pomegranate.
It is a gorgeous pomegranate, but it's been the same pomegranate for 3 months.
still right.
I think that's the record for most times pomegranate has been uttered at a board
Yes,
meeting.
without a doubt.
So, I mean, with that, just, want to welcome back everybody. Good luck this year, and go Gators.
Thank you, Mr. Galtman.
Mary Beth, are you about to give your report?
Yes, sir.
Could I just jump in? I forgot
Yes,
to
sir.
say something about Brian Key, who's a movie star. He was on WPXI. He was being interviewed. He's the leader of the school police force here. And a gentleman came out and interviewed him. Brian did a wonderful job. He looked so friendly. I looked at the background of the video that they played. The halls were just buffed, beautifully clear. Every light had bulbs in it. And so what I'm saying is, from an observer's perspective from the outside, if I was wondering whether I should send my kids to these schools, here's a man who's under control. He was wearing his badge, and he had his gun on, and the halls were clean and clear. All the lights were there. All the lockers were closed. They were well painted. And then we cut to a shot of Dr. Short, who was relaxed, sitting back in a clean, well-lit office, and he had his badge on. In other words, at this school, everyone is under authority. We don't do what we want. We don't, ignore the rules. We're supposed to wear our badges. Everyone does. And so this is a school where safety occurs from the top to the bottom. We do our level best. And so I would just like to say kudos to Brian on his interview. Well done, Brian.
Thank you. It was a great story, and you can check that on WPXI.
It was, yes.
It was excellent. So with that, I seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.